For me, I think the biggest thing that football taught me was how to overcome adversity.
At some point in your life, you're going to have some tough times.
You have to have that next play mentality.
That cohesiveness and that working together, that's really something special that you can't get in a lot of other areas.
When you practice that and you live that in other phases of your life, it becomes second nature because all you know how to do is fight.
It's not an easy game. If it were easy, everyone would do it.
You start to appreciate the smaller contributions that people make. You don't just look at the big one because you knew it took 6 or 7 other guys who are unsung.
And you can't take shortcuts and be successful.
Doing what they do to make it possible for the guy getting the press clippings or whatever it might be.
In this game, whether it's as a coach or a player.
So I would certainly say that you definitely got a very quick lesson in how to overcome adversity playing football.
And don't forget to check out and order your copy of our latest book, Stiff Arming Football Myths. You can find this available in both paperback and PDF form on our website at footballgameplan.com/books. Matt Ryan has been as consistent as they come over the course of his career, and I do think he can get Atlanta ultimately where they want to go, but it'll take a different approach. 37.5 attempts a game over the last 3 seasons won't get him or the Falcons there at all. Atlanta has to get that down to about 25 attempts a game, and I think that's where you want Ryan to hover around throwing the football. It's the same approach the Cowboys took last year with Tony Romo, and I think Ryan, because of how he is versus pressure and in pressure situations, can excel. Also, the Falcons can't afford an injury here as the depth at this position is questionable at best. I have to take the wait-and-see approach with the Falcons' backfield. Second-year man Devonta Freeman and rookie third-round pick Tevin Coleman out of Indiana will share the load this season. Freeman has solid game with good bursts, and Coleman has that home run speed you want in a tailback, similar to Antone Smith, who's coming off an injury. Now, the question I have about the two guys is in the vision department. Both are lane runners, which means lanes have to be created for them because they struggle at creating them on their own. The Falcons really need this ground game to get up to speed because their success could really transform this offense. I like what Atlanta has on the flanks. Julio Jones and Roddy White combined for over 2,700 yards, 184 receptions, and 13 touchdowns. They form one of the most potent duos in the NFL. Devin Hester played well last year as the 4th receiver, and finding a number 3 will be the biggest battle, but in my opinion, it shouldn't be a long battle as 4th-round pick Justin Hardy out of East Carolina, to me, is that guy. Hardy has tremendous hands and is a savvy route runner. I compared his game to Roddy White, and he has the ability to play inside or out. They signed Leonard Hankerson in free agency, but he's too inconsistent, which leaves the door open for 2 players I really like in Bernard Reedy out of Toledo and Marquez Clark out of Central Oklahoma. Both have return skills, which is huge because they'll probably have to make their mark on special teams. Tight end is still a question mark, even though they signed both Jacob Tamme and Tony Moriarty. The hope was that Levine Tololo could seize the reins from the retired Tony Gonzalez, but he was a little too inconsistent last season. All eyes will be on this Falcons offensive line, and this unit needs to take significant strides this season, and a lot of it could also depend on the health and growth from a few players. You want center Joe Hawley to regain his form as he regains health. He played well prior to the injury. The growth from left tackle Jake Matthews and reserve center James Stone is also key. Matthews has to make the biggest jump in play as he's the blindside protector to Matt Ryan. Now, Atlanta brought in 2 former Washington Redskins and guard Chris Chester and tackle Tyler Columbus. Chester is slated to start at guard if he can hold off fellow free agent signee Mike Person. Guard John Asamoah played some good ball last season and is solid on the right side, as is right tackle Ryan Schrader. Look for Schrader to turn in a huge season for Atlanta. Now, the key will be to find the right combo of guys and hope they gel pretty quickly.
I love football. I cannot get enough of football. I watch it on every level.
The emotional release. Whether it's an exciting play that gets you all jacked up and juiced, or whether it's the fact that you're able to pour everything you have. Whatever frustration you had that week, you can put into that first kickoff coverage, that first block that you have, whatever it might be.
And I couldn't think of anything better to do to fill that void that you have as a football player than to get into coaching.
You get a chance to release a lot of emotion that you otherwise have no place to release. There's nothing else like that.
Again, the relationships you build and the people you're around, and watching the guys compete, not just on the football field, but in life after they get done playing. It's just an amazing game.
I think Atlanta got better up front by bringing in Adrian Claiborne. He's on a one-year deal, and I believe he will play his way into a long one with Atlanta. Starting opposite of him, if it were me, I'd go with Malachi Goodman out of Clemson. I think Goodman is an ideal fit for Dan Quinn's defense and brings good ability on both ends, more so than Tyson Jackson or Corey Bierman, who are better in reserve roles. Both Rashid Hageman and Paul Soliai are good on the interior. Hageman started to come on strong later in the year and should blossom this season. Good depth here with Jonathan Babineau and 2 rookies and 5th-round pick Grady Jarrett and undrafted rookie free agent Joey Mabu out of Houston. In my opinion, both were steals, especially Jarrett out of Clemson, who I think could see a ton of playing time as a rookie. So overall, I think going back to the 4-3 is a good thing for Atlanta and its defensive line. Big-time infusion of talent at the second level for the Falcons, and I'm excited about this core this season. Atlanta signed Brooks Reed, O'Brien Schofield, and Justin Durant via free agency. All 3 are tremendous players. Reed and Schofield have the ability to bring it off the edge, and Durant is a very solid backer versus the run. They also drafted the best edge rusher in the draft in Vic Beasley out of Clemson. Beasley is your quintessential disruptive force on the defensive side of the ball and should have an immediate impact from day one. Middle linebacker Paul Warlow and outside backer Joplo Bartu and Tyler Starr are very solid players, with Warlow starting at Mike and both Bartu and Starr providing quality depth for that Falcons defense. I think this group will surprise a lot of people with their play this season. I think Atlanta is solid in the secondary. Both Robert Alford and Desmond Trufant are 2 young corners that are really good, that'll continue to grow together. The club signed Phillip Adams and drafted Jalen Collins out of LSU, and they'll compete for that 3rd corner spot. One may be sliding Alford to nickel. In my opinion, undrafted free agent Kevin White out of TCU is a much better corner than Collins, and I think he'll be one to surprise this season. At safety, William Moore has been a stud from day one, making it tough for receivers over the middle of the field. Looks like Charles Godfrey and Kamal Ishmael will compete for the free safety spot. Either way, that's a solid trio of safeties for Atlanta. I would also expect second-year players in Desmond Southward and Ricardo Allen to see plenty of playing time in sub packages. Both guys have the ability to match up versus receivers. The Falcons are strong in every facet of special teams play. That's kicking, punting, coverage, and returns. Kicker Matt Bryant was an amazing 90% on his field goal attempts last year, also going 7 out of 10 from 50 yards plus. Punter Matthew Bosher averaged 45.7 yards a punt and does a great job at directional punting. And the Falcons have future Hall of Famer Devin Hester handling both kickoff and punt returns duties. This is a group that I believe can win games for you. I have the Falcons finishing 3rd in the NFC South. I think this year's squad will be very good defensively. They'll play great special teams, and the passing game will have success. Where I worry is the ground game and consistency along the offensive line. It'll be another tight year in the division. If Atlanta can solve those issues early, they'll be in the hunt for a wild card berth. And I also want to give a huge shout out to Falcon fan forums for always showing football game plan support.